Judge Leon, could you please give us a bio about yourself?
Certainly. And let me first say it's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate you holding these types of interviews, especially for judicial candidates. My background is here in Las Vegas. I moved here in 1997. I started out as a private criminal defense attorney, and I held that position for about 2 years. And then I switched sides and went to work for the Office of the City Attorney for the City of Las Vegas. I was a deputy city attorney and prosecutor on the criminal division for about 9 years. And it was from that position that I was appointed to the bench in 2008, February. And that was to fill the unexpired term of Chief Judge Toy Gregory, who passed at that time. I am originally from California. I am a third-generation Chinese American. I was born and raised there. I went to law school at Southwestern University School of Law. I have a bachelor's degree from the University of California at Berkeley. And I grew up in a tiny town, Palm Desert, California. What brought me here to Las Vegas in '97 were the job opportunities. This place is booming, and it was for me at the time, and that's how I ended up here. It is odd to have attorneys in front of you for whom I have to campaign in front of, and to run an election such as this requires that I fundraise. So there's no question that it can be a little strange, but that is the process that we go through. Now, I was appointed by the City Council, and I had to go through an interview process and application, and there were many fine people who did apply. So, you know, that governing body had an opportunity and time to really review everything and receive input from different members in the community that would know whether someone was appropriate or not for the appointment. And sometimes with the election process, quite frankly, especially with judges, the general public doesn't have a reason to come through my courtroom all the time. And so they are at a disadvantage, which is why this type of thing is very important, I think, in trying to understand what makes a judge qualified or not. Are they really, you know, going to do what they say they're going to do? Because there's no feedback for them. So, you know, I guess I would say understand the root of your question, and that's our political process. So I just appreciate the opportunity to be here and be able to answer these questions so that folks can see, you know, what I'm like as a judge.
Thank you. The next question will come from Rhonda Kennedy.
Thank you for being here. I have a two-part question. My first question is, what's your position on the Second Amendment? And what do you? And the second part is, how do you feel about Nevada's open carry laws? Because a lot of times there are people that do, you know, openly carry their firearms, and neighbors may call and they may be arrested for brandishing a firearm in public, when actually it's their, you know, their actual right to be able to carry the firearm. Do you know, uphold that Second Amendment when it comes to a trial or sentencing, or how do you usually rule on that?
First of all, I have sworn to uphold the laws of the Constitution and the state and the city, and so yeah, I support the Second Amendment. As far as the brandishing a weapon type of scenario, obviously that's fact specific. What the law is in the state, I would support. I don't believe it's my job to make legislation from the bench. I'm going to follow the law, but what you're asking is really fact specific. I very rarely see a case like that. Occasionally a case that is considered a misdemeanor, brandishing a weapon, will come out, and we'll just hear what the facts are as to whether that truly fits it or not. But my position is that I've taken an oath to uphold the laws.
So if someone has their firearm holstered and they were arrested and charged for that, would you, I mean, how would you rule in a situation like that? I mean, the defendant clearly says their firearm was holstered and it's perfectly legal, but they're arrested for that. I know you have to uphold the Constitution, but, you know, when you still have to personally, you feel a certain way. Would you believe the officer or the defendant when the gun is holstered?
Well, I don't prejudge the situation, and I'm not trying to not be direct. The difficulty with answering hypotheticals like that is that that's what they are. So I can answer you generally. What I would tell you is it depends factually. It depends on a lot of things. The credibility of all the witnesses who are in front of me. So I don't make a judgment going in one way or the other. So.
V. Carson.
Hi, thanks for coming. I have a quick question for you. My question is, you mentioned that you deal also with traffic offending situations. And if there was a person who had not committed a criminal offense, and for example, they had a traffic ticket and it went into warrant, because of non-payment, but there was a reason for that. They were unable to pay, or they tried to pay and went into warrant. Every time you pay, it goes back into the same situation. So my question is to you, are you open to creating or supporting a program for those who have attempted to pay or have run into financial inability to pay their tickets and are facing possible jail time? Is that something that you'd be open to?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I've seen in this last year on the bench is that, as we all know, times are difficult, and I see it particularly with regular folks who have traffic tickets, such as what you are describing. We have alternative ways, one of which is community service. I have a program, it's part of the Alternative Sentencing and Education Department, which is an arm of the court, and we refer folks there to do community service work. The fine is transferred into a certain number of hours, and we send them all over the community to do community service work. And we have mechanisms for financial counseling. If it looks like someone is on a fixed income, for example, or they are disabled, we have a counselor who will sit down, evaluate all of that information, and on some occasions, you know, certain fines might be waived if they really qualify. But I like to give people an opportunity to be accountable. And sometimes, especially right now, it's difficult to pay fines. If their choice is between going into warrant and getting groceries or you know, buying gas. I understand those are tough decisions. I got to balance that with obviously respect for court and for their promising to appear in front of me when they don't. But I certainly understand why that may occur.
Just really quick, what if it's a family person who's, you know, for example, they have a family to support and, you know, they really try. They just, so does that still apply in that situation? You consider those kinds of things as well?
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, Judge, I just wanted to say that I sat in your courtroom briefly, and I've sent a couple folks to sit in your courtroom as well, because you already knew me, but I knew you wouldn't know them. But I'm just talking personally. I think the City Council has done an excellent job pointing you to that bench.
Thank you. Thank you
So
very much.
I want to thank you for serving the citizens of Las Vegas for the time that you have, and I hope that you continue to serve them for the next 4 years.
Great.
With that, thank you so much for being here, Judge.
Thank you very much.